Hi there. Today we're going to be talking about airport lighting. If you've been to any major airport at night, you may have noticed that there are a lot of different kinds of lightings, ranging from flashing white or yellow to steady red and even blue. Airport lighting is obviously important for aircraft operating at night, but why do we need so many types? And what do all the colors mean? So airport lights generally can be divided into different types. General airport lighting, taxiway lighting, runway lighting, and approach light systems. We're going to start with talking about general airport lighting. So general airport lighting usually includes the airport beacon and any white or red beacon lights on top of the towers. We're quite familiar with that because we see these white or red beacon lights on top of the buildings a lot in downtown area or probably mostly on buildings near airports. You can refer to other videos talking about how to understand an airport diagram or airport chart, which you will see a single dot at somewhere the center of the airport. That is where the airport beacon is located. If you're planning your flight and you say, I want to fly from Vancouver to Toronto, and at the time you put in Toronto Pearson Airport CYYZ, you're gonna see a little dot appear saying that this is your destination. But that is not a detailed flying path that you're flying, but you're just flying towards the direction of Toronto Pearson Airport. As you're getting closer and closer, you will notice that that point is just the airport beacon location. You need to then plan your landing system, plan your landing route to make sure you're actually landing on a runway. Public use airport beacons rotate green and white. Military airport rotate green and white but have two white lights for each green light, which differentiate them from civilian airports. And heliports rotate between green, white, and yellow lights. Pilots flying cross-country can easily identify an airport at night from its beacon, making it one of the easiest checkpoints for pilots when navigating. Sometimes air traffic controllers can turn the beacon on and off as necessary. Other times it's set, mostly on a timer. Now let's move on to taxiway lights. On your screen now, what you're seeing is a busy airport, but you're seeing green lights, and blue lights, and some yellow lights. These are taxiway lights that you are seeing. Taxiway edge lights. Taxiway edge lights are blue in color and line the taxiways. So the color that you see blue, so the blue lines are taxiway edge lights. Airports often use green taxiway centerline lights as well. So those three are a pair. So it's usually two lines of blue lights and one line of green light. You know that is your taxiway. Clearance bar lights. Set inside the taxiway, clearance bar lights are steady yellow and are meant to increase the visibility of a hold line or a taxiway intersection at night. So you can see here some little sectors of yellow lights. These are all holding points. Especially you can see here when the taxiway is intersecting with the runway, you want to make sure that holding line is really clear for the pilots to see. Next one is called stop bar lights. Only installed at select airports, stop bar lights are meant to reinforce an ATC clearance to cross or enter a runway in low visibility situations. They are in pavement lights that are steady red and extended across the taxiway at a hold short line. Once the pilot is cleared onto the runway, the stop bar lights will be turned off. Last light we're going to talk about for taxiway lighting is the runway guard lights. It is a pair of two steady red-yellow lights that are positioned at each side of the taxiway at the whole short line. You might not see as clearly as you are now, but let's focus on this line of yellow lights. The runway guard lights are meant to draw attention to the whole short line, the area where a taxiway meets the runway. So you can see that this whole short line actually extends to two sides, but it's not that clear. You can also see here, but from those two sides of the taxiway, you can see there are two yellow lights that are flashing. That attracts the pilots more than a steady yellow light during night, telling the pilots that the aircraft is approaching the runway. Now let's talk about runway lights. So now you might be a little bit confused by these three images that you see on your screen, but you're going to get pretty clear in the next few minutes. There are a couple of runway lights that we're going to talk about. The first thing we're going to talk about is runway end identifier lights, or called REILS, reals. It is a pair of white flashing lights, one on each side of the approach end of runway, that helps to identify the runway from taxiways at night. So we just heard about some circumstances or some incidents where the pilots got confused between runway and taxiway during night. And that light is actually installed there. It's not installed after these incidents recently, but it is installed for the purpose to identify a runway from a taxiway. So as you can see on the top right, this image, these lights, this light, this white light, and the far white light just under the letter F, you can see those two lights mark one runway for you on the image. And you can see that these white lights also mark all the parallel runways for you in this image. The second light we're going to talk about is called runway edge light systems. The runway edge lights are steady white lights on the edges of the runways. On instrument runways, the white lights change to yellow during last 2,000 feet, or half the runway length, whichever is less. And then they turn red as the aircraft reaches at the end of the runway. They can be really high intensity, okay, medium intensity, or low intensity. That's why there are three names for the system: H for high, M for medium, and L for low. So these lights are what you are seeing here. These white lights at the two sides of the runway, these are edge lights. And towards the end of the runway, it turns yellow, and then it turns red. Next, we're going to talk about runway centerline lighting system, or it's called RCLS. On some precision runways, a runway centerline light system is installed with white lights spaced at 50 feet intervals, okay, on the center line of the runway. So as you can see here, the white lights. With 3,000 feet remaining, the white lights change to alternating white and red, as you can see here, and then all red during last 1,000 feet. Next, we're going to talk about touchdown zone. Touchdown zone lights are steady white lights placed in two rows next to the center line, starting at 100 feet and extending to the midpoint of the runway, or 3,000 feet beyond the threshold, whichever is less. So, what you are seeing here, if you focus on this runway at the center, you will see that this line and that line, those two white lines marking the edge of the runways, and the center line is really clear here, and as you can even see that it turns kind of red towards the end. That's what we just talked about here when the light changes towards the end. But you also see two lines of light, but it kind of ends just about not even 1/3, but it's about 3,000 feet, let's say, beyond the threshold. So those two are what we talked about called touchdown zone lights. So a touchdown zone is a specific area of the runway that is um, usually specially built so that the surface can withstand the weight of an heavy aircraft landing. Next light we're going to talk about is land and hold short lights. So when land and hold short operation, which is called LAHSO, are in effect, flashing white lights may be seen across the runway at the hold short line. Okay, so there are also some other runway lightings may include some runway status light. Okay, so runway status light is also another system. RWSL, which includes runway entrance light, takeoff hold light, runway intersection light, and final approach runway occupancy signal. These lights work in conjunction with different systems and are fully automated. They assist in informing pilots in ground vehicle operations when it is safe to enter or cross a runway. So that is it about runway lightings. And now